Hi, everyone. This is Dorothea coming from West Monroe, Louisiana. Just got finished up yesterday with Dr. Bobbie Clark Alexander talking about Nehemiah and how he was such a servant to a heathen king, and how he was able to flow in such a powerful way in leadership whenever the season changed and the season shifted for him. The reason why he was able to flow so powerfully and with so much authority and so much knowledge and wisdom. Why? Because he served. He was a servant to a heathen king. What did he have to do? He had to taste the food, the king's food every time he ate. Why? Because people wanted to kill the king. People wanted him dead. But guess what? He had to trust Nehemiah, and Nehemiah served him. He served him in uncommon and unusual ways. And he put his life out on the line for his king as a servant. He had a servant's heart. And so whenever Nehemiah began to get ready to build the wall, he had those attributes from being a servant. He had the attributes of a leader. Where did he get those attributes from? From being a servant. He served. Guess what? The king knew, although he wasn't spiritual, he was heathen, but he knew in his mind, this guy's for me.
Right.
So in that process, Nehemiah was making deposits and investments. And I'm going to go back to Jamila and let her tell you about the deposits, and if you don't put a deposit, you can't get a return.
Absolutely. That's the big deal. You know, Nehemiah understood that this king is an important person to a country, and he's an important person to me. And because he's important to me, I'm going to fulfill my role in his life. I'm going to do the best that I can at whatever it costs for me to be of service to this king. And so when he did that, it made a great payoff for Nehemiah. Why? Because he had built an awesome relationship. You know, he served that king as if his life depended on it, which it did. You know, so if anything happened to that king, you know, Nehemiah was the responsible party. But the king could trust Nehemiah because he constantly, consistently, on every day in and day out, his life was committed to protecting and covering that king. And so in our life, how many people are there to cover, protect, support, encourage us? And have we been faithful to those relationships? Have we poured into those relationships resources, attention, you know, affection, you know, in our businesses, on our jobs, with our families, even with our relationships? That's what this was really about. Are you committed 150% to the relationships that you've been given? We desire to have relationship with people, but fail to actually invest in those relationships. So when you need a favor of whatever kind, you can pull from a relationship that you've invested in. You know, and when you really done that, you can make the withdrawal. If you haven't, that's not something that you can take away from that relationship. You can't demand that. You can't feel entitled. You can't be selfish. You can't be self-centered. But when you have, you know you've given, you know you put that value there in your time, your resources, then you can pull from it. And if there's somebody in your life who doesn't reciprocate that to you, it's okay to change your circle. It's perfectly okay, because switch what that says, no value, right, Dorothea?
No value. Those were the deposits that Jamila was just talking about. He made those deposits within the king because he was able to go back to that king, that same king, and maybe get favors or whatever it was, because he made deposits. He made investments into that king. And so we are living in a day now where people want the whole world for pennies on the dollar, and it doesn't happen like that.
They want to get it by themselves.
You can't get it by yourself. You have to trust people. You have to build those relationships. So so let's make it practical. When your friend is sick, call, check up on them, send a text message, a mother, a father, it doesn't matter. Any little thing, make those deposits. It doesn't have to be the word. You don't have to go give them $1 million. It's the small things that really matter. So are you making those small deposits in people? Not just things, but in people. You know, make it it doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, but make those, put forth the effort. Let people know that you care. Let people know that you're thinking about them, because if you ever need anything back, they'll know. They'll be able to reciprocate that. Don't burn those bridges. Do what you have to do right now, because you never know who you'll need in the future. So that's what I received on this weekend, and I'm so glad that I came and met Dr. Bobbie Clark Alexander here in West Monroe, Louisiana, because I want to make sure that I am building lifelong relationships and friendships, because I know what God has called me to do, and it's going to take other people.
Deposit.
Yes, and this is going to be the final thought, and I'm bouncing off Jamila. Good, healthy relationships. When you see, let's talk about even in marriage. How can you have a good, healthy marriage? Friendship. Because why? Each one is depositing something that they can come back in the future and withdraw and pull from. So you have to have that. You have to have that. And so let's get even more practical. Whenever your friend is sick, make sure you reach out to your friend. It doesn't hurt to send a text message, send a card, a balloon, something for your friend. And that makes all the world, that means $1 million in their heart. You know, so when you come back or you're having a bad day or something like that, then guess what? They're going to be there for you because they remembered that. But if you you come back and they ignoring your phone calls and they ignoring your texts, you need to check yourself, because you haven't done something in the past that that made them even want to give energy to you. So check yourself on that. But I thank God that we made it here to West Monroe, Louisiana. We're trying to get our lives together in every area of our lives, especially our relationships. So we're checking out. Peace.